last time they won back-to-back games, it was back in early July. Actually, July 6th and 7th against the Orioles. Ray Adrianza is going to play first base tonight for the Twins. Miguel Sano, of course, got hit by a pitch in the hand. Joe Mauer with a scheduled day off, so the middle infielder or left side of the infielder getting a chance to try the right side, and Kyle Gibson hoping to bounce back from his second demotion to AAA and pitch a good one tonight. Jeff Bannister's third year for the Rangers hasn't gone as well as the first two. Slow start this year, some bullpen issues. They're trying to get back to the 500 mark, and they've had essentially the same record this year as the Twins. Here's the Menards batting order. Shin-Soo Choo leading off. Elvis Andrus batting second. Nomar Mazara, Adrian Beltre, Rougned Odor, Mike Napoli, Joey Gallo, Drew Robinson, and Robinson Chirinos.
Kyle Gibson on the mound for the Twins. We'll see which Kyle will show up today and see if he has learned anything, not only in AAA about throwing his stuff for strikes consistently, but also watching Bartolo Colon do it last night. Just phenomenal.
Twins out on the field, a little bit of a different look. Not so much in the outfield. It's Rosario, Buxton, and Kepler in the outfield. Escobar at third, in for Sano. Polanco, Dozier up the middle, and Adrianza got some extra work mid-afternoon today at first base, and we'll see how it goes there with Adrianza playing first and Jimenez behind the plate for the second game in a row.
Shortstops can play anywhere.
Well, believe it or not, that's kind of what Paul Molitor said. It said, you know,
what do you mean, believe it or not? Of course I believe it.
Paul Molitor said that if you can handle short, you know, you're fluid out there. You should be able to handle ground balls. The biggest difference isn't anything physically, but it's, you know, where to play on cutoffs and things like that.
Right.
Here's Choo. And he takes strike one. Last night he hit the first pitch of the game into right field for a base hit. Choo, Andrus, and Mazara in the Texas first. Swing and a miss, 0-2. Choo serving as the Texas designated hitter. And Adrianza fields the second hop flawlessly.
No problem.
One down.
Just a two-hopper to his left. There's just
a bigger glove.
He's just seen it and go, man, this is easy. Can I take this out there at shortstop? You know, the biggest difference just with our balls off the bat coming at a different angle.
Right.
The different side of the infield's a little bit different, and especially as we look at Jorge Polanco at playing the Adrianza normal position. Balls hit from right-handers at first base is a little bit different. And he's working on his foot to the pitcher right there, just anticipating when he has to do that.
1-0 to Elvis Andrus. Has had a good series with 4 hits, a couple of singles, a couple of doubles, actually 3 doubles last night. 1-1. Gibson trying to pick up his 7th win of the year, and trying to get his ERA back to some degree of respectability. It starts today's game over 6. Just off the outside corner, close pitch, 2-1. Mark Wagner calling balls and strikes back on his home turf here in the Twin Cities. Foster, Malinsky, and Blackney on the bases. And wrapped toward the hole and off the glove of Polanco. It'll be another hit for Elvis Andrus with 1 out in the first. And that'll bring up Nomar Mazara. Good sign for Gibson, albeit early, but 2 balls put in play, both of them on the ground.
And a lot of strikes as well. So here's where the test will come in. Throwing strikes, the first 2 hitters. Somebody's on base now. Relatively sharply hit ball on his sinker. So can he just continue to trust his stuff and not all of a sudden say, oh no, I can't let him hit it? Gibson's the kind of pitcher that he has to try and make guys swing the bat, make them hit the ball.
A check of Andrus at first. One thing that Kyle has done, well, a couple things. He's done really well this year. He's fielded his position very well. That's the norm. He's also defended the running game very well. Only 4 stolen base attempts against him and only 1 successful. And he gets generally 1 ground ball double play per start. That's to the gap in left center and hit well. Rosario won't get there. In fact, it's in the bullpen. Mazzara goes to the opposite field to make it 2-0 Texas. And the Rangers again tonight strike first.
Well, we've seen Mazzara hammer the ball now in the first inning 2 nights in a row. Fastball gets a lot of the plate. A sinker that was up and didn't sink much. Mazzara goes with them. A little bit of movement away from him. Hits the ball long to left center. This young man's going to be a really good big league hitter, especially against right-handed pitchers.
2-0, and now Adrian Beltre. Strike at the knees.
Well, so far, nothing different than the complete game that Cologne threw last night. 2-0 in the first. Okay, so they hit a home run. They got a couple of hits. They hit a home run. Can you keep throwing strikes and keep trusting your stuff? Big league hitters are going to hit the ball once in a while.
One and one to Beltre. 2-1. We talked about it last night. What we saw from Cologne even before last night, the ability to give up, not the ability, the ability to recover from a bad inning. And in the case last night, his worst inning was the first inning. Bouncer to short. Polanco over to Adrianza, 2 down. And that, frankly, has been one of the issues for Kyle, is their life after a bad inning. And here he's given up 2 right away in the first inning. Rougned Odor will bat. Odor's average down into the 2 teens now, hitting at 219. Allen has been frustrated, as Twins fans have been frustrated, trying to get some consistency out of Kyle Gibson. There's a strike on the outside corner. 13 pitches and 9 strikes for Gibson. One and one. Big come down for Odor in the batting average department. The same number of RBIs. A few more home runs. Inside again, and it's 2-1. Way out in front.
Yeah, real good changeup right there. Even though Kyle gave up a single, a ground ball that was hitting a good spot for a single, and then the home run. And I still like the fact that he's throwing a lot of strikes and he's using all his pitches. And you're right, Dick. The most important thing for Kyle is, okay, once you give up runs, what do you do then?
Full count. Gibson coming off a win that we had talked about in our pregame show against the Tigers, 7 1/3 innings. Longest outing of the year, but then he was dispatched to Rochester. Popped straight up in the air. And Polanco with the catch. An infield hit, a home run, and the Rangers jump out in front 2-0. It's 2-0 Texas. Paul Molitor hoping that the Twins can win back-to-back games here. At the start of this homestand, the Menards batting order has Brian Dozier leading off, Robbie Grossman hitting second, Eduardo Escobar, Chris Jimenez hitting cleanup, then Eddie Rosario, Byron Buxton, A-Ray Adrianza, Max Kepler, and Jorge Polanco.
Cole Hamels on the mound for the Texas Rangers. Uncharacteristic. Last 3 starts really not good at all.
Of course, in last night's game, Dozier started a Twins comeback by hitting the second pitch of the game over the wall in right field. And you're right about Hamels. In his last 3 starts, 14 earned runs and 17 in a third innings. 1 strike to Dozier. Grounded up the middle and a base hit. And that will bring up Robbie Grossman. Well, the Twins get a ground ball single. And we'll see what follows after that here in the bottom of the first. The Rangers out in the field. Strong arm Joey Gallo in left. Drew Robinson in center. Nomar Mazara in right. Beltre, Andres, Odor, Napoli back at the infield spots they were in last night. And Robinson Chirinos behind the plate.
Joey Gallo out in left field. Came up as a third baseman. Has played some first base. We got him in the outfield now. Boy, did he show off a cannon for an arm last night.
First pitch to Grossman's up high, a ball. Good night at the plate for Robbie. A couple of extra base hits, including a big 3-run home run. They put the Twins in front, as it turned out, for good. A little fly ball to center. And Robinson is there for the catch, 1 away. And that'll bring up Eduardo Escobar getting a start at third base, because Miguel Sano, for the second time in a week and a half, got hit by a pitch in the left hand. And Sano said today that it felt better after the game last night than it did today. Over the course of the evening, his hand swelled up. He was able to make a fist last night, unable to make a fist today. Probably not uncommon for a hitter to have it be worse the second day.
Absolutely. That's exactly the way those things work. Things swells up and gets really, really sore the next day or two.
Up and away, ball 1 to Escobar. X-rays taken last night were negative with no break, but Sano might not play tomorrow.
Yeah, he's been hit there twice now in 2 weeks, and that left hand's got to be sore.
Dribbled in front of the plate, and Escobar ran into the ball, so he's out. And Dozier has to go back to first. You don't see that very often. When you see it, it's usually with a bunt. Well, this was a swinging bunt, and Escobar is retired too unassisted.
Hits the ball right down in front of him. The ball stays right there. You can see he looks at that, and I'm not sure.
Hit it with his bat.
I'm not sure what he was thinking.
He hit it harder with his bat the second time.
He was looking right at it. I'm going to get out of the way, and then I'm going to take it with me.
2 down. Dozier still at first, and now Chris Jimenez. Down and in, ball 1. Hamels beat the Twins earlier this year, but since coming over from the Phillies, the Twins have had great success against him. There's a swing and a miss, 1-1.
You know, it gets back, their success against Cole Hamels gets back to what we were talking about in the pregame show and also in the open of the show about how the Twins in the first half of the season were really good at grinding out at bats and not swinging at bad pitches and getting really good balls to hit. And that's what you have to do against Hamels. He's going to try, like right there, he's going to be all over the outside, just outside the strike zone. He wants to expand the plate, expand it up and down, get you swinging at balls you don't really want to swing at. Doesn't want to throw the ball down the middle very often. Doesn't like to throw his fastball for strikes an awful lot. He'll cut the ball, you know, throw a little cutter. You have to be really patient, and you have to really grind out at bats.
Dozier takes off for second. He'll reach there. Odor near the second base bag makes the play on Jimenez's ground ball, and the Twins are done at the bottom of the first.
It's time for our Car Soup Scoop from the clubhouse. Paul Molitor says he tends to think one game has nothing to do with the next, but he said after thinking about just how special Bartolo Colon's effort was last night, he does admit that this one could be the spark to get things going for the Twins. Molitor also said he has been targeting today as a day off for Joe Mauer to keep him as fresh as possible, so that means A-Ray Adrianza is making just his second career start at first base. The Twins have decided that Hector Santiago will go back to Rochester for a 4th rehab start, which is scheduled for Wednesday. Guys?
All right, thank you, Andra, contributing to Mauer's off day tonight. The fact that he was 0 for 12 in his career against Cole Hamels.
Exactly right.
Down and away a ball, and it's 2-0 to Napoli. What you didn't count on, of course, was that the backup first baseman with the current roster was Sano. Then he got hit by a pitch. Otherwise, he would have been at first base tonight. Joe available off the bench. And perhaps we should explain how Gibson got on the roster. He was put on the roster at the expense of Zach Granite, who was sent down. So the Twins essentially have 3 bench players, but one of them won't play, and that's Miguel Sano, because he was hit by a pitch. Twins have Mauer and Castro, and that's about it, carrying 13 pitchers. 3-1 to Napoli. Gallo and Robinson will follow. Tap foul, 3-2. Gallo on deck.
See if Kyle Gibson can continue to put the ball in play, throw those strikes, don't walk anybody. Even though this guy's a dangerous hitter, can hit the ball in the ballpark, I still think you got to be a strike thrower.
He issues a leadoff walk to Napoli. Before batting practice, Adrianza, who's played at first base a little bit, he's got a tutorial over there, mainly working on footwork around the bag. Gene Glenn working with him.
That's a new drill. Tom Kelly used to do that with first baseman. It was the first time I ever saw it. But instead of having guys throw the ball in the dirt, practicing balls in the dirt, stand over there at second base and hit fungos at them. And I'm not exactly sure why that is, except that they can hit the ball in the dirt better, I guess.
You better have somebody who can use the fungo bat like a surgeon, and Tom Kelly could do that. I'm sure Gene Glenn can as well. Well, now 25 pitches and just 13 strikes for Gibson as he's walked Napoli and delivered ball 1 to Gallo. Snapped his bat. And Polanco with the catch. Most of the bat ended up over the Twins dugout. It broke off right at the handle. We mentioned last night that Joe Mauer is the only Twin that uses ash bats. Just about everybody in the game uses maple bats. We used to see that a lot with maple bats. You don't see that as much now because they've improved the technology. The trees aren't any stronger, but in terms of how they make the bats, you know, they've improved the technique so they don't break off at the handle like that.
Yep, bats used to shatter, those maple bats, when they first started using them. They're very, very hard. The sweet spot of the bat's very hard surface to hit with.
Strike on the outside corner.
But they used to shatter like crazy. You're right, and you don't see it anymore. They've really, really improved the composition. And you must be right. The way that they go about milling the bats now.
Fastball zipped inside.
Yeah, I like that pitch a lot for Kyle Gibson, and I'd like to see him do that regularly to most every hitter in any lineup. We watched Bartolo Colon do that last night very effectively with an 86-mile-an-hour fastball. Now, granted, he has some good movement on it, but especially right-handed hitters, he would just pound in and pound in and pound in. And that impresses hitters after a while. Makes all these other pitches really, really much more effective.
2-1. Runner goes, and Gibson delivered to the plate, and the ball spanked to right field. Napoli will go to third base because he was halfway to second base as Gibson broke from the stretch. First and third, one down.
I honestly don't know what Napoli was doing here. There's a low sinker to left-hander, which is there goes Napoli. And I can't figure out what Napoli was doing. I don't think the straight steal was on with his lack of speed. He could have been going on first movement, but there was no first movement.
He just took off.
He just took off, and you know, if it were a hit and run, you know, you're taught as a runner on a hit and run, make sure the pitcher goes to the plate. So I'm not exactly sure what that was.
Number 9 batter Robinson Chirinos. Between innings, Jeff Bannister came out and talked with Mark Wegner about something, and it's just speculation on my part, but I think it had something to do with Gibson's delivery from the stretch, whether he was stopping. I can't imagine what else he would have been discussing with Mark Wegner. Ball 1. And Gibson in need of that ground ball double play here. Robinson single, sending Napoli to third, and the Rangers already have a 2-0 lead. Mentioned that Gibson's only given up 1 stolen base on the year, and absent Robinson's hit, Napoli would have had the second one. Napoli, of all people.
Standing.
Tap foul, 1-1. Runners on the corners. Gibson's issued a walk and given up 3 hits to the first 8 batters. Beaten into the ground, and it's 1-2.
Got away with a high changeup there. Ball floated over the middle of the plate. Chirinos just didn't hit it. It was good speed, good arm action, but the ball floated up, and he was a little lucky to get away with that one.
Chirinos strikes out about once every 3 at bats. Gibson not a high strikeout guy, but this guy can be gotten. One and 2 to the Texas catcher. I couldn't answer the question myself. What do you think is Kyle Gibson's strikeout pitch?
Well, it just depends on the count and the hitter and the pitches that have gone before. I would think right here a slider down the way if he can hit the outside corner with that breaking ball. Oh,
tried to fly to left, and Rosario and Buxton converge. And at the last instant, Rosario caught it. Both he and Buxton were sparring as to who should catch it, and then it looked like Buxton said, "All right, you take it," and then thankfully Rosario did. A sacrifice fly, and it's a 3-0 ball game. That was a near disaster, it looked like.
They both wanted it, which is the right thing. Generally speaking, the center fielder will be the one that takes charge there. And I think just at the last minute, Rosario was going to let the center fielder have it because the center fielder is supposed to, generally speaking. That's a situation right there where Byron's just got to keep calling him off. Just go over and shove him out of the way. That's a center. When in doubt, that's a center fielder's ball. The way that was almost a disaster was Buxton doing that for most of the time, and then at the very last second or two, then deciding to back off and let Rosario take it. And Rosario, meanwhile, right at that time was saying, "Oh yeah, I'm supposed to let the center fielder take this ball." That's Byron's ball.
Fouled back. The pitch before, we had perhaps a case of umpire's interference. It looked like Jimenez was ready to fire to first, and as he drew the ball back to throw, he looked like he bumped into Mark Wegner. 1-1 to Shin-Soo Choo. dug out of the dirt, and it's 2-1. Driven to the left field corner, but just foul. Chu hoping that that ball would stay fair, but a little too much slice on it. The count now 2-2. This year, leadoff walk, and already paid the price for that. Runner goes, and the pitch hit to right field, hanging in the air for Kepler, and that'll end it. The leadoff walk scores, and it's a 3-0 Texas lead. Tonight's Cub Fan Express winners to the game. Go to enterpromo.com/Cub for a chance to ride the Fan Express to a Twins game this season.
Thank you.
Don't have to worry about parking. Get your tickets in hand. Walk right into the ballpark.
Perfect.
Eddie Rosario takes outside ball 1 as he leads off the Twins' second inning. We showed you Hamels' earned run average in his career against the Twins, 6.35 coming into the game tonight. Tap to the right side. Odor has an easy play to make, and he makes it. It's the highest opponent ERA against Hamels in with any opponent where he's made at least 6 starts. He's got 3 runs against him in Texas, but he managed to win the ball game. 1 down, and now Buxton.
He's crafty. He's the crafty left-hander, the proverbial crafty left-hander. He's got a little bit more fastball than you might think. He tries to cut the ball in on right-hand hitters. Will backdoor cutter like that right there. He's always trying to hit the corners and pitch below and above the strike zone, make you swing at balls that you're not comfortable swinging at.
Popped up, short right center field. Robinson with a catch and a couple of quick outs. That'll bring up Adrianza. Time now for tonight's State Farm combination. The Twins breaking out by their standards. 8 runs last night, just 6 runs scored in the 3 prior games. Home runs sure help. Doubles 2-out singles with the bases loaded helped. The Twins did a lot of things right at the plate last night.
Yes, they did. Good at bats up and down the lineup, led by Brian Dozier with 3 hits, hit the ball hard 4 times, 2 big home runs to get him going. Of course, Robbie Grossman's great at bat, and the 3-run home run, and then the double to set up 2 more.
Well, this is kind of what the Twins have done against non-power pitchers. 15 pitches thrown for Hamels. He's already got 6 outs. Rarely got an extra base hit. He got 3 of them in last night's game.
He is really having a very, very good year. Using the whole field. He's always been able to slap the ball to right field, but he's doing it with some authority this year, and he can turn on the ball as well. He's just very, very comfortable and confident at the plate this year, and living up to a lot of promise that people have had for him for a long time.
2010, we gave you these numbers last night, but in 2010, 588 at bats, 15 doubles, 3 triples, no home runs. He got 156 hits, and 138 of them were singles. Andres at the plate now, and he's got a 1-1 count. Two and 1. Andres with an infield hit. He pulled one towards the hole, and the ball trickled off the end of Polanco's glove for a single. And then Mazzara went into the Twins bullpen for a 2-run home run. Rangers added another run in the second after a leadoff walk, and now it's 2-2. The outside corner. And Andres thought it was outside. 1 down.
It's a good pitch out there, 2-2. It looked like it might have been a little bit outside, and it was. But, you know, Gibson's made some pitches with that fastball that were called for low that I thought were very, very good, too. So there's going to be some that hitters miss and some that umpires miss. Looked like the umpire missed that one.
Nomar Mazzara hit his 14th home run of the year with a man aboard in the first. Up and in, ball 1.
See, that's a pitch I like. Again, that's not a sinker. That's Colon last night was throwing a 4-seamer as well as his traditional sinker, and I think 2 fastballs is really a great way to go in this league.
Now he paints the outside corner, 1-1
with a nice changeup. But again, if we learned anything from Cologne last night, he was not afraid to pitch inside a lot.
Swing and a miss. 1-2. Another off-speed pitch.
Yep. Another changeup. Another really good spot. Fastball in. I really like this sequence of pitches that Chris Jimenez and Gibson are doing with Mazara. There's a home run in the first inning, a sinker that stayed up. He tries to throw that sinker about knee high, tries to throw it for the outside corner. That one stayed about mid-thigh high and just over outside middle.
1-2 to Mazara. 2-2. Be the 50th pitch for Gibson.
So he's going to try the back foot slider and executed it very nicely.
2 strikeouts, 1 looking, 1 swinging, and before Beltre's at bat, let's go to Audra Martin.
Guys, our big story is what happens when a knuckleball meets Giancarlo Stanton. Last night, the Miami Slugger took R.A. Dickey's signature pitch out of the park for his first home run off a knuckleball, and the longest home run at SunTrust Park. He followed that one up with another bomb in the 6th, and he just hit another not too long ago. He's now your new league leader with 36 long balls so far this season. Guys,
thank you. Ball 1 to Adrian Beltre. Beltre reacting to something around home plate after a ball 1. Hit a ground ball to short his first time up. And now 1-1. Fastball.
I like it. I really, really like it. This is a really, really good inning for a sequence of pitches so far for Kyle Gibson.
1-2. Fouled off a leg. Detroit leading Baltimore 2-1, top of the 5th. Boston leading Chicago 4-1, top of the 5th. Yankees and Cleveland tied at 1. Kansas City's game with Seattle postponed because of rain. They're going to play a doubleheader tomorrow, and it may be that they'll put Sal Perez on the disabled list tomorrow. He has an intercostal strain, and the guy who arguably is the most valuable Royal might be out of action for a while.
Chris Jimenez having that conversation with Kyle Gibson about what the pitches have been so far and how we're going to try to get him this time. And you see Beltre leaning toward left field. The fastballs inside have really set up other pitches, and Jimenez tried to get him after the fastball in, tried to get him to throw a changeup away, and he left it up. Beltre was able to foul it off. Now with a fastball away, 2-2. But I really like the way Jimenez is calling this inning.
Just missed the corner, and it's a full count.
What a lot of pitchers don't realize is that that hitters really have to be impressed with a hitter's fastball before anything else works. Changeup missing inside, and you don't really want to throw the changeup into a right-hander either from a right-handed pitcher.
Beltre flicks one foul out near the outside corner.
But if we learned anything from Bartolo Colon, the Ranger last night, the Rangers knew he was throwing fastballs. He throws 70% fastballs, maybe more than that. But he throws them on the corners. He just keeps throwing them and keeps throwing them. And then when they think obviously he's going to throw another one, and they mix in something else, but it didn't have to do it all the time.
Crack to left, and Beltre has another hit. A 2-out single to third. It was a pleasure to watch Cologne work last night, and as the game progressed, I thought of a game, you might remember it, late in the 1987 season. Steve Carlton, then 42 years old. It was a Saturday night at the Metrodome against the Oakland A's, and he almost pitched a complete game shutout. He got into the 9th inning and then had to be relieved, and as it turned out, it was the final win of his Hall of Fame career, win number 329. But that night he had it all together, much like Cologne had it all together last night.
It was a huge win for us. Oakland came in close to us in second place in the West, and I remember that very well, watching him really twirl up a masterful game, just kind of out of nowhere. It was really great. We would not have won that year had we not beaten Oakland like a drum. We beat them really handily all year long, but against everybody else, they were better than we were.
Adrianza to the bag. That ends the inning. It's a scoreless third, and you're watching Twins baseball presented by State Farm. All on Fox Sports North is presented by Chevrolet, the #1 selling brand in the Twin Cities. 3-0 lead for Cole Hamels, who's thrown 15 pitches through 2 innings. He's completed 7 at bats. Dozier touched him for a leadoff single. He's retired 6 men in a row, and the Twins keep swinging at the first pitch. Kepler lifts it foul, 1 strike. Polanco and Dozier will follow. Chopper to short. He threw 5 pitches to get the 3 outs in the 2nd inning, and it takes 2 pitches to get the first out of the 3rd. Join Michael Kadire, Andy McPhail, and other Twins Hall of Famers at the Hall of Fame breakfast Saturday, August 19th. The event will include a retrospective program featuring Michael Kadire and Andy McPhail, as well as a Q&A session and autographs with the 2017 Twins Hall of Fame inductees. To learn more and register today, visit twinsbaseball.com/breakfast. Michael filling a assistant's role with the Twins, and of course Andy McPhail, the president of the Philadelphia Phillies. Here's Polanco. Got a hit last night in his last at bat, and he needs to start feeling comfortable from both sides of the plate, and he takes ball 1.
We're back to swinging at the first pitch against Cole Hamels. I really don't have a problem with that at all. If he throws your fastball down the middle, I don't think you ought to be standing there looking at it. I think you ought to hit it. I mean, the operative word there is hit it. Get a base hit. I mean, if you pop it up, then it looks real bad. You're swinging a lot of first pitches, but If you take that fastball down the middle on the first pitch, just so you see a lot of pitches, then he forces you to hit cutters and curveballs and changeups. That's no good either. So the key thing is when you get a good ball to hit in the middle of the plate, you got to put it in play. Otherwise, you're going to get stuff like that, what we just saw.
1-2 now to Polanco.
Now it's different if he's throwing the ball all over the place. If he's walked a bunch of guys, and you know it's okay taking pitches because you know you're going to get another one to hit. But when a guy's throwing strikes, you better get the one you're supposed to.
2 down. And now back to the top of the order, and Brian Dozier.
Well, they started him inside. Showed him a good fastball inside and then finished him off with breaking balls.
Dozier with a bouncing single up the middle to lead off the first inning, and he was left there at first base.
The thing about pitching inside, there's 2 main points about pitching inside. One is that hitters don't want to be jammed. If you could prove you can throw fastballs on the inside part of the plate, they want to get the big end of the bat out there and get in a hurry. And the second thing is a lot of guys want the ball in there. Brian Dozier is a great example. He wants the ball from the middle of the plate in so he can hit in the left field seats. So if you show a guy that you're going to throw the ball inside, make him think you're going to throw it inside, then he starts getting pull conscious, and it opens up the outside part of the plate.
I just saw Rougned Odor do something that they're not supposed to do. As Hamels was delivering the pitch, he moved about 30 feet to his right from one side of second base to the other as the pitch was being delivered. Umpires will tell you not to do that. Dozier takes a strike. Remember, Ray Miller, briefly manager for the Twins, would ask his middle infielders to do that to try to distract Wade Boggs, and the umpires finally made him stop doing it. And Dozier takes a walk, showing some patience at the plate, and that'll bring up Grossman. It always worked with Boggs too, because we'd have, you know.
Oh yeah, it worked really well.
Castino, Jimenez, whoever, the guy you probably moving back and forth, and he'd leave here 8 for 11 in the series.
Right.
Grossman hit a fly ball to center his first time up. Strike over the inside corner.
Brian Dozier, you said, had a good patience at the plate. You look at Robbie Grossman and the number of pitches that he takes, and he's a good example also of what I'm talking about. Take the pitches that are either balls or you're not looking for or are hard for you to hit, and then take advantage of the ones that you can. And Brian Dozier, you said, had a lot of patience, and that was the exact right way to have patience. He was looking for the ball from the middle of the plate in a fastball where he could drive it. He didn't get one. They were all either inside or outside. You take your base.
Dozier and Jeff Smith both appealing to Marty Foster that Hamels just balked. Pitches up 1-1. Well, back to your point earlier, though, when the Twins have had success against Hamels, they've made him throw a lot of pitches and made him throw it over the plate.
Right. But they didn't make him throw a lot of pitches by taking the first fastball down the middle. I mean, if you get a fastball down the middle from him, you have to hit it. What they've done well in the past is when he hasn't thrown strikes or when he's throwing pitches you don't want, they've taken those.
Well, now they've got Dozier picked off, and he's out at second base. Well, they thought he balked a few moments before that, and then Dozier took off maybe on first movement, and he's picked off. Northland Ford. Visit buyfordnow.com and your local Northland Ford dealer today. By Grand Casino, the best stories start here. And by Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. We got started about 45 minutes late because of a light shower that lasted quite a while, but it never rained really hard. No storms in the area or anything like that. And then the Rangers got a couple in the first, one in the second, and now we go to the fourth, 3-0 Texas, and there's ball one to Napoli, who drew a leadoff walk in the second and then scored on a fly ball a couple of at-bats later. Napoli, Gallo, and Robinson facing Gibson here in the fourth. Tapper to third. Easy play for Escobar. Over to Adrianza. One down. Twins are tied for 9th in the American League in terms of overall record. The Rangers right behind them. The challenge for this team right now is to get back to the 500 mark. And at some point, to do that, you've got to start winning back-to-back games.
Yeah, Twins haven't put together any kind of real streak. I think they've won 4 in a row at one point in time is the most.
Looper to left, and Gallo has an opposite field single with one down.
Twins need to run off like an 8-2 run or a win 12 out of 15, something like that. Just really get back in it.
Longest losing streak this year has been 4. Longest winning streak this year has been 4. And generally, when a team goes off on an 8-2 run, or in the case of the Royals and the Indians, 8-9 game winning streak, they do it with really good starting pitching. The Twins have had a hard time establishing that again this year.
And they'll do it with pretty complete play too. It starts on the mound. There's no question about it. The starting pitching is the most important thing. But you have to score runs, and then you have to close out the game. And we've seen that last road trip for the Twins was a great example of just not every phase of the game working at the same time. They got some okay starting pitching. They took leads late into the game. They couldn't build on those leads late, and they couldn't hold the runs that they scored early, the leads that they established early and didn't add to.
Robinson slapped a single to right his first time up. Now down and in, 2-0.
Drew Robinson's a really interesting story. I don't know if you know an awful lot about him, Dick. I certainly didn't. I was talking with the Texas broadcast guys. He's kind of a journeyman organization guy in Texas that they're giving a shot to in center field.
Swing and a miss out in front of the changeup.
Rangers, a good pitch there. 2-0 fastball count, throwing a changeup and throw it enough for a strike to get him to offer at it. But Ranger broadcast guys were telling me that they asked him, they said, you know, you've always been kind of the fourth outfielder, or you've been kind of the journeyman guy. He says, I've been that way since Little League.
A journeyman Little League.
He said when I was in high school, he said, if the guy whoever was pitching, then I'd play the position he would play when he wasn't, when he wasn't pitching, I wasn't playing, but I was playing somewhere else. So if the guy was the third baseman pitcher, when he pitched, I played third. When the shortstop pitcher pitched, I played short.
And that's over the inside corner to even the count.
So as long as I've been in the game, that's the kind of guy. I've been the fill-in guy, kind of the 10th guy on the team everywhere I've played, and now he's getting a shot in the big leagues. So it's really kind of a cool story.
And now 3-2 to Robinson. Robinson, Chirinos on deck. Keep an eye on Gallo, see if he takes off on this 3-2 pitch.
I believe Joey Gallo will be running. The reason I say that is because Robinson hit the ball well, hit it base hit into right field with Napoli running early on. I think that Jeff Bannister doesn't think that Kyle's going to strike out the hitter, and he did.
And then he walked him instead. First and second. One down, and Chirinos will bat. Join Fox Sports North Sunday in Northeast for Open Streets Minneapolis, a fun, family-friendly way to explore the neighborhood and local businesses. Stop by the Fox Sports North booth on 5th Street Northeast to learn more about streaming Twins baseball on Fox Sports Go, play games, and more. Visit foxsportsnorth.com/events for details. First and second, one down, and now Chirinos, who lifted a sacrifice fly to deliver the third Texas run, his first time up. Strike called. 70 pitches already for Gibson. He's trying to wrap things up here in the 4th inning, but he's only got 1 out on the board. And throw to first, and Adrianza slaps the tag on late. Jimenez threatened to throw to first earlier in the ball game, trying to backpick a runner.
Adrianza does a nice job sneaking in there behind the runner, straddling the bag, and so he can slap a quick tag down there. Robinson just back ahead of the throw.
What a pick! It's short by Polanco. What a double play! A smash to his backhand side, and he turned it into a double play.
Well, you just won't see a shortstop make much better play than that. A bullet in between hop that he picks, gets to his knees, makes a nice throw to Bryant, and then it's just automatic from there. What a wonderful play.
Play, former shortstop, you must have really appreciated it. That was tremendous.
It was a tremendous play. There's no question about it. It wasn't just the layout dive. It was the ability to adjust his glove mid dive to get it kind of in between hop, and then bounce to his knees and make a good throw to Bryant at second base. And just there aren't a whole lot of players that can be better than that and from that position.
Kept this score 3-0. Grossman out in front of a changeup, 1 strike from Hamels. Hamels missed considerable time this year with an oblique injury. And as we've suggested, he's really struggled in his last 3 starts, but he's been given an early lead and has looked pretty sharp here tonight. It's looped to right. Odor jogs under it, makes the catch, 1 away. 3-0 Texas. Let's get caught up thanks to Toyota.
First inning right away, base hit and opposite field home run off the bat of Nomar Mazara. Gave the Rangers a 2-0 lead in the first. They would add another run to make it 3-0. In the meantime, Cole Hamels has been very, very sharp.
Dozier's been the only base runner, and he was picked off once. Here's Escobar, and he takes a belt-high strike.
That was the pitch Robinson Chirinos got called on for a strike last inning. Didn't like it. Eduardo didn't like that one. He took it for high, I think.
Sharply hit. Escobar toward the gap. He's going to round first. Robinson is going to throw to second, and Escobar is out by plenty. A sharp single, and Robinson threw accurately to second, 2 away.
Well, I appreciate Escobar's hustle and desire to make something happen there. With 1 out, not a very good gamble. You got to make sure that you can make it. With 2 out, maybe you make a great play trying to get to second base with 2 out, but to be thrown out by that much with 1 out already, that's not a good base running play.
Now Chris Jimenez with the bases empty. When the Rangers got Hamels a couple years ago for a playoff push, many organizations thought his contract status would be a detriment because there were 2.5 years plus an option left on the contract, and the Rangers instead looked at that as an attraction. We talked about this the other day. Well, all he's done, just about all he's done since he's come to Texas, is win. He's 27-7 since becoming a Texas Ranger. 5-1 this year. Wins and win percentage have been debated as to their true value. Here's a ball hit sharply right to Beltre. But when you're 27-7, you're doing your job, and he certainly has done it so far here tonight. Mountain Dew fans of the game enjoying a delayed start here tonight. It started about 45 minutes late because of a rain shower that popped up. And the grounds crew, as if they didn't have enough to do over the last week or so with 2 concerts here last weekend, had to put the tarp on and get the field ready. And as usual, they did a great job. Shin-Soo Choo leading off the 5th against Kyle Gibson. Up and away, ball 1.
People have always asked me what I think of this ballpark, and I'd say I'm mad because I didn't get to play here. It's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful surface to play on. Larry DeVito and his grounds crew staff just do a marvelous job.
Metropolitan Stadium wasn't manicured to this degree, or pedicured, whichever the.
No. That man right there, though, was out there at Metropolitan Stadium. Alex been part of the ground crew for a long time. Known Alex for years and years and years and years.
How would you rank, in of course, Metropolitan Stadium for many of us is a very sentimental place. Was
right.
The place where we were introduced to big league baseball. But how would you rank it in terms of other stadiums at the time? Things are so much different now with Choo striking out. Things are so much different in terms of the quality of the field, and literally they're almost manicured now. Where was Met Stadium in the ranking?
I think manicured now is absolutely right. The way they take care of the fields, they're just immaculate, beautiful. You know, it was a great place to hit.
Okay.
I really enjoyed hitting on that ball in that ballpark. Greg Nettles used to come in with the Yankees, and he refused to come out for anything other than batting practice. He would not take ground balls on. He'd come out and hit, take his turn, go back in the clubhouse.
Well, I can't imagine it was too fun playing on the left side of the infield when, on the Sunday before, Carl Eller and Alan Page were, executing goal line stands.
Yeah, and then they added the Minnesota kicks as
right.
well.
Charged by Escobar, barehanding,
nice
low throw, and nice stretch by Adrianza. 2 down. 2 away here in the Texas 5th. And that'll bring up Mazzara.
Textbook slow roller defensive play. Eduardo barehands it. Throws on just his second step. See, catch on the left foot, throw off the right foot. No problem. Very nice. Textbook.
Mazzara with a 2-run home run and a strikeout. I wonder where the flamethrowers are now that they use. And they used them occasionally for baseball too, didn't they? To thaw out the field.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I mean, they must be sitting in somebody's garage someplace, don't you think?
Flamethrowers and engine air blowers.
Right.
Painting the holes in the grass green to make it look better.
See, I want to get one of those flamethrowers for my driveway in the wintertime.
Wouldn't that be great?
Tapper right side, Adrianza to the ball, Gibson to the bag, and that's how that's supposed to work too.
And that's how you're supposed to pitch an effective inning. Very nicely done by Kyle Gibson.
Texas Rangers. We're now inside the Minnesota State Lottery Winners Circle with 17 people here, all celebrating this wonderful lady's 85th birthday. This is Doris. Happy birthday, Doris.
Thank you very much.
How is the day going? You got such a great group here.
It's going great. I am thoroughly enjoying it.
Now, I know you've been a Twins fan since day one. What's your favorite thing about Twins baseball?
Oh, I love sports. So I watch it. I watch it on TV. I never miss it.
I was going to say, I heard you never miss a game. So we are going to give you $100 worth of scratch-off tickets from the Minnesota State Lottery to say thank you for being such a great fan and to say happy birthday as well.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, from South Dakota, so travel safely as well. Enjoy those lottery tickets.
Okay, thank you very much.
Guys, back up to you.
All right, thank you and happy birthday. Rosario takes a pitch up and in, then he swings through the second pitch, 1-1. Rosario with a ground ball to second his first time up. Then Buxton and Adrianza will take their swings against Cole Hamels. With an off-speed pitch gets another swing and a miss.
Yep, come in hard with a fastball, make the hitter think you might come in there, and then come back with change up and a breaking ball, down and away. That's the way you set it up.
And another off-speed pitch and another swing and a miss. One down. That'll bring up Buxton. Byron with a fly ball to center his first time up.
So we're talking about pitching inside. So come up and in, and then make 3 really good pitches down and away.
There's the 1-loss record with Texas. Now that's remarkable. ERA is good by today's standards, but 27-7. And a low whip. Buxton squares, takes inside, ball 1.
Well, that whip, the walks and hits per innings pitch, is really, I think, about as important a stat as there is. And the way you control that the best is by controlling that W. Just don't walk people.
Yep. That's to right center field and down for a hit. Buxton with a base hit, and he'll slam on the brakes. And the Twins get a runner with 1 out in the 5th. That'll bring up Adrianza. MLB.TV Premium is back better than ever. Watch every out-of-market regular season game live on over 400 supported devices. Plus, get a free subscription to At-Bat Premium, the #1 app for live baseball. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. Here's Adrianza hit a fly ball to center his first time up. Check swing, but a called strike.
Fans way up there by the left field foul pole.
Just off the corner, and it's 1-1.
You know where a really cool place to watch the game is in the area way up above the batter's eye now in center field.
Right.
That is really cool. They've got some cool restaurants back there. During the '87 celebration, my family and I walked around the ballpark a little bit, went out there.
Buxton takes off, and the ball thrown into center field, and he'll scamper to third.
Now keep coming. I think he could have scored right there.
Juggled in center by Robinson. And you see right here the value of Buxton simply getting on base. A stolen base and an error will advance him to third.
He's a disruptor. He gets a nice jump, throw into the runner into center field, and right there, when there's no way that Gene Glenn could have kept him coming. But I have a pretty strong feeling that if Buxton had never slowed down, if he knew that he had the green light all the way, as soon as Robinson dropped that ball in center field, I think he'd have scored, because Robinson would have had to pick it up, find home plate, throw a strike to the plate to get him. I think Byron could have scored right there.
Critical at bat now with Adrianza behind in the count 1-2. Good take 2 and 2.
Yeah, very good take. Those are the kinds of pitches that Hamels wants you to swing at.
Middle infield's playing back. Beltre about even with the bag at third. Napoli recessed a couple of steps from being even at the bag.
Just hit the ball in the middle of the diamond. Get this run some kind of way. You can get it with a ground ball to short. Just keep the ball in the middle.
Tapped toward first,
right
and Buxton will streak home. And Adrianza, although he didn't hit the ball hard, he got the job done getting the run in, and it's 3-1.
That's right. Just put the ball in play right there. With that speed on third and the infield back, just don't strike out.
Buxton dropping a single, stealing a base. There was an error, now a little weak ground ball, and at least the Twins are on the board here in the 5th. Max Kepler, the batter, hit a ground ball to short his first time up. Down and away, ball 1. Max continues to struggle against lefties. Takes a strike. 83 at bats and 11 hits. 1 double, 1 triple.
Yeah, his numbers against right-handers are really, really good. Nice slugging percentage. He's hit 10 home runs, hit a bunch of doubles.
Swing and a miss.
He's still trying to figure hitting against left-handers. You know, we have talked in the open part of our show and during the last few games about the Twins having better at bats, needing to have better at bats, grinding out tough at bats as they did last night.
Pulled foul.
Tim Laudner talked in the pregame show. In addition to that, he talked in the pregame show about doing the little things and moving guys over, moving the guys from second to third, hitting behind the runner, getting the sacrifice flies, getting the guys in from third. It's important to do that because against guys like Hamels, you're not necessarily going to throw up a 4-spot. You just got to get the runs when they're presented.
Driven to left, hit pretty hard. Gallo is there to make the catch. Good at bat for Kepler. It's the 3rd out of the inning. Buxton scores. It's 3-1, and you're watching Twins baseball presented by State Farm. Gooseberry's Falls State Park provide visitors with seasonal activities from fishing to hiking and from biking to canoeing. Plenty of things to do. Gooseberry Falls is the gateway to the North Shore. It's known for its spectacular waterfalls, River Gorge, Lake Superior shoreline, Civilian Conservation Corps log and stone structures, and Northwoods wildlife. Learn about Minnesota State Parks at exploreminnesota.com and share your favorites with #OnlyInMN. Love going up there. It's I like the towns up there. Knife River, Two Harbors, Castle, Danger, Silver Bay, Long Lake. Been a while since I've been up there. I gotta change that. Here's Adrian Beltre. 1 strike. Foul back, 2 strikes.
Kyle Gibson settling in here a little bit the last couple of innings, and looks like he's in a nice rhythm. His delivery is relaxed. He's first 2 pitches to Beltre, good fastballs right on the outside corner, both of them strikes.
And he gets him to chase. 1 down in the 6th. Let's go to Audra Martin.
As tonight's showstopper is yet another come-from-behind win for the Dodgers. This time coming against the Mets, the Dodgers rifled off 5 home runs to win it 7-4. So now at 43-7, that is the best 50-game stretch in Major League Baseball since the New York Giants did it back in 1912. Guys, the Dodgers simply do not lose games. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, and of course they enjoyed their 3 games against the Twins too, with some dramatic come from behind heroics. Down and in to Odor, ball 1. (77-32).
That's incredible.
78 now and 32.
Yeah. Over a 700 winning percentage. That's playing some baseball. They have a nice team, very complete team.
They've done all year long what the Twins are simply trying to do in a 10-game stretch: win 7 games.
Yep.
You know, the Twins they've fallen back. They're 3 games below 500, but right now there are 6 teams within 4 games of the 500 mark. The Twins are one of them. In other words, 1 good week or 1 bad week by teams ahead of them, and things could change. If the Twins, for instance, could put together a 4-game winning streak, which they've done 4 times this year, having won last night, they'd get back to 500, and then things change. People think of the Angels as being in contention now because they're playing 500 baseball. Seattle 56-55. They're considered a contender for the wild card. You know, perspective can change awfully quickly if you could just win a few games.
Yep, really true. And your treatise on getting back to 500 is the right idea, especially with this much time left. You get to 500 and then see if you can't run off a streak. Then you can kind of take control of things.
Odor getting some attention from manager Jeff Bannister and the trainer. Got a lot of armor on that front leg.
And front elbow.
And he hit it off the pad. Still hurts.
Yeah, you know, he hit it off there's a the side of that pad there is not as bulky as the on front. And if you hit yourself there once, and hence you're wearing the pad, then you hit yourself there again. That's not fun.
2-2. Pole shift on the infield for Odor. There's just 1 infielder on the left side.
What I really like about what Kyle Gibson has done the last 2 innings now, plus 2 batters into this inning. He's throwing a lot of fastballs. He's throwing both of them, both the 4-seamer and the 2-seamer. And he's coming inside. I really do like the way that he and Jimenez are working right now.
Full count to Odor. Napoli on deck.
I mean, he has put fastball in Odor's mind. There's no question. Now, he may continue. He may throw him another one, or he may throw him something else. You see the changeup there way out front. That's because fastball's in his mind. If he had thrown that changeup on the outside corner instead of the inside corner, I think he'd have got it. And again, that's what we saw Colon do last night. Just fastball after fastball after fastball. And then every time he surprised him, as we look at how well Kyle has pitched in terms of pitch count last couple innings.
And a sharp ground ball through the shift. And a 1-out single for Odor. And that'll bring up Napoli. Target Field's a great place to spend time with the people who are important to you. Groups of 25 or more are eligible for discounts on tickets, and per ticket fees are eliminated. Arrange your group of 25 plus today by visiting twinsbaseball.com/groups or call 800-33-TWINS and ask about a Twins Target Field group outing. Napoli, the batter, led off the second with a walk and scored the most recent Texas run. That was back in the second inning. Then he hit a ground ball to third. Hit a long way. And he hit it where the Gomez last night, right?
Almost hit it behind him.
Gomez did the same thing last night. One strike to Napoli. And now a ball. Yankees leading Cleveland 2-1, top of the 8th inning. 2-1. Leading, and it was a close play. Adrianza nearly tagged him out. Odor looked like he was heading for second base.
He was. He had a little jab step that way, and the fact that Adrianza or any other right-handed thrower at first base has his glove on the opposite hand of where the runner's sliding back is always a disadvantage. The left-handed thrower with the glove right there, slap the tag down a little bit more quickly. You know, I played a little first base, and you're catching the ball backhand and trying to bring the glove back across your body, as opposed to those left-handed throwers who just catch it right there and snap it straight down. Makes a big difference.
Two and one to Napoli. Down the line, but foul, and he cracked his bat.
Good pitch right there. Really good pitch. Came in on it. The ball ran in. He threw two fastballs away to get behind 2-1, and threw a nice running fastball in on his fist there. See if he's got something that could put Napoli away. Now, once you get a guy set up for the outer part of the plate, see if you can throw it either for a strike or close enough to get Napoli to offer at it.
He loves swinging at high fastballs.
Well, I think he's got him set up for either a high fastball or something on the outside part of the plate.
I can see Napoli, because I've seen it so often, I can imagine Napoli swinging through a high fastball. I can also, because he's done it so often, see him smashing it about 450 feet.
I'd rather see the really good breaking ball in the outside corner. There's the high fastball.
Too high for Napoli to swing at it. Now 3-2. And a good chance Odor will take off here. Napoli still strikeout prone. Jimenez may get a chance to throw a runner out here.
Yeah, if I'm Jeff Bannister, the manager, I'd probably send him thinking, I don't think Napoli's going to swing and miss a fastball. He might swing and miss a slider, but then Odor's got a chance on the slower pitch.
Runner doesn't go, and the pitch lined to center and down for a hit. So a couple of one-out singles here in the 6th. Joey Gallo is due up, and we saw Buddy Boshears warming up. We'll see if Gibson is taken out here, and here comes Paul Molitor.
So here's the issue. He gets ahead, and then can't finish him off. He throws one right down the middle when he's got him set up for something down and away, and for 2 pitches, and he kind of wasted that high fastball to get to 3-2, and then threw one right down the middle.
Decent outing for Gibson, and it'll look even more decent if Boshiers can strand a couple of runners here in the 6th. Two-run home run in the first inning, a leadoff walk in the second that led to a run, but he settled down after that.
He did. He absolutely did. He had 60 pitches after 3 innings, and then drastically cut down his pitch count. He had 2 really good innings. You know, he made some really nice pitches. The problem, and I really don't have any problem with the home run that Mazara hit. Mazara's got 14 home runs and 68 RBIs. Had some good defense played behind him. That was spectacular by Polanco. You know, he gave up a ground ball single in the first inning and a home run. Okay, he did that. The 3rd run he gave up was started with a walk when he's got the kind of stuff where you just can't walk people. The guys are going to put the ball in play. You just got to make them hit their way on.
Gallo up with 2 on and 1 out. Boshiers brought in to get Gallo. He's actually hit left-handers better than right-handers this year. Ooh. Big swing. He waited on an off-speed pitch and ticked it foul.
Bit of a hanger there, but you can get away with hangers, I think, especially from left-handers to Gallo, because he really is the quintessential low ball hitter. I mean, he really wants the ball down in the strike zone. And I think the reason he hits left-handers better than right-handers is a total guess on my part. Well, it's an educated guess. I think left-handers tried to get him out with breaking balls and low fastballs, and they leave him in low middle of the plate, right in his sweet spot. Right-handers have an easier time, it seems to me, like coming up and in on left-handers, which is a hole that he has. They can throw sinkers out away from him. Left-handers don't like coming up and in on guys too often, and they try to throw a lot of breaking balls like we saw the other night from Mejia, and just leave it right there.
In the dirt, 1-1. Boshiers has held lefties to a sub .200 opponent batting average.
See, it splits left-handed and right-handed.
And Ryan Presley warming up behind Boshiers in the bullpen. 1-1. Twins have had 2 complete games in their last 3 games, so the bullpen obviously pretty well rested. Ground ball. Dozier with a pickup. And a flip to Adrianza. And the runners move up. Good play by Dozier, closing the hole on the right side. And a nice job by Adrianza, I guess, holding his ground and getting to the bag. We have to remind ourselves from time to time we're dealing with a very inexperienced first baseman. It would have been easy for him to commit to the ball, and maybe they wouldn't have gotten the out at first.
Yeah, I think that there was a little communication. I think Brian told him right away that he had that ball. The way Adrianza reacted to it, I think Brian did a good job of communicating there.
2 down, 2 in scoring position, and now Robinson, who has singled and walked tonight. Up and in. Job by Jimenez, gliding to his left, sliding to his left to dig the ball out. 2-0. Strike called, and it's 2-1.
Good pitch there at the knees by Buddy. See if Buddy can get the Twins off the field here in kind of the classic left-hander situation. Top of the ball, got the bottom of the strike zone, it looked like.
You see that action, the movement on that fastball, and it's not as hard or as severe a break as Zach Britton, but it's kind of got the same movement. Kind of down and into a left-handed batter.
Zach Britton, he doesn't know where the ball's going. It goes down and in, it goes down and away, straight.
Boucher's trying to ice a couple of runners on the bases.
Yep. As I say, kind of the quintessential left-handed reliever job here. Come in and see if you can get 2 left-handers out.
2-2 to Robinson. And Boucher stepped off the rubber with Odor trying to draw a balk. Missed down and in. 3-2. Chirinos on deck. And Jimenez wants to make sure.
Yeah, if I'm Chris Jimenez right here, I'm having the conversation that goes something like, let's not give in to this guy right here. We have first base open. Tough for Jimenez to have that conversation with Boucher's, because Boucher's not going to pitch to Chirinos most likely. But even so, let's leave it all on the field right here. You got one more pitch to make. One way or the other, you got one more pitch. Let's make it. Let's not give in. Let's make a great pitch right here.
Full count to Robinson.
Yes,
got him with an off-speed pitch.
Exactly right.
Boucher's comes in and strands 2 awfully big runners, and it's still 3-1.
Got nothing to lose. Throw a good curveball out there where he can swing and miss it. Great job by Buddy Boucher.
come back and take one away from the Rangers here in the late innings. Twins baseball on Fox Sports North is presented by State Farm, here to help life go right with the home and auto protection you deserve. Jorge Polanco is 0 for 1. He made a sterling defensive play that perhaps helped turn this game around. Kept the Rangers from scoring more runs, and then the Twins have managed to scratch a run across in the 5th against Hamel. See what they can get done here in the 6th. Strike one. I don't envy what Polanco is going through, and you probably went through phases of it yourself. It would seem to me that if you're struggling offensively, it almost hurts you to be a switch hitter, because you've got two sides to be concerned about. The very nature of switch hitting is it's supposed to help you. One hopped over the tarp, but it almost, for someone like Polanco who hasn't established himself yet up here, that would help contribute to the confusion or congestion of the mind. Does that make any sense or not?
Yeah, I think it does. Usually a switch hitter is better from one side than the other, and the problem is that the side he's not usually better from the left side than the right side.
On the ground, hit right at Andres. One away.
And you don't get as many at bats right-handed, generally speaking, so that you don't. It's hard to work on that. And what really gets your mind crazy is when your good side goes bad. Then you go, well, I know I'm not swinging well right-handed. I'm not swinging well left-handed either. Oh man, that's nasty.
One down. Here's Dozier. He's reached both times with a single and a walk. In the 3rd inning, he drew a walk and then was thrown out trying to steal. Picked off actually by the pitcher Hamels. And Dozier takes ball one. Twins have threatened to bunt in front of Beltre, but have yet to try it. Beltre looked like there he was trying to egg him on. Sure, go ahead, try it.
Yeah, I wouldn't bunt in front of that guy.
Strike called, 1-1. Changeup and another swing and a miss, 1-2. Twins have had 4 base runners on against Hamels, but never more than one in an inning. And that they got a run in the 5th was because their base runner was Byron Buxton. And another off-speed pitch, and Dozier strikes out, 2 down.
Pulled the string 2 times in a row. You see Brian's head flying a little bit. That's what happens with a hitter. When you think it's fastball and you start to get the head of the bat out there in front. When you're that far out in front, your swing pulls your head off of it too.
Grossman with a fly ball to center and a pop up to second. Actually a soft line drive that was caught by the second baseman Odor in short right field. 1-0. Grossman rather got the big hit last night, 3-run home run. It was his first home run this year as a right-handed batter. Fouled away, 1-1.
Yeah,
the other 6 home runs all came as a lefty.
He got I would say huge hit last night, which was the 3-run home run, and he got a big hit for a double to right center that set up the last 2 insurance runs.
On a big hit by Eddie Rosario.
On a huge, yeah. I can't use huge again. Big hit by Eddie Rosario.
That ball skipped to Napoli. He made a nice play. That ball hit off the grass and didn't bounce so much as it skipped. It's a 1-2-3-6 for Hamels. Texas lead.
And basically the story of the game is one swing by Nomar Mazara for the Rangers in the first inning, a 2-run shot into the bullpen, and then pretty close to 6 innings of domination by Cole Hamels. He has really got it rolling against the Twins lineup tonight.
Buddy Boshears did a nice job cleaning up a situation in the 6th, and now the Twins hand the ball to Ryan Presley for the 7th. Presley has shown throughout this disappointing year of his sporadic episodes, I guess, of what we saw last year. A pretty effective right-handed reliever. Problem is stringing a bunch of them together. He's had a couple, well, one good one in a row, I guess, an inning and 2/3, 5 up, 5 down here the other night against the Rangers.
Well, we're going to see at least episodes, to use your appropriate term here, when a guy's got the kind of stuff that he's got, and it just goes to show you, as you look at that great breaking ball, it just goes to show you it almost doesn't matter what your stuff is. If you're Bartolo Colon and throw 86 and throw mostly all fastballs, or Ryan Presley and you throw 97 with a wipeout curveball, you have to have command of that stuff.
And an overpowering fastball. The Twins want Presley to feel free to cut it loose, and to do so confidently with that fastball that can be overpowering. At 96, last year we would see 98, 99. And on 3 pitches he puts Chirinos away, 1 down. Fox Tracks presented by Carrier.
Well, the hitters know he throws 96 to 98, so he starts them with a beautiful breaking ball, and then once they show him that, then just blow him away.
Talking with Neil Allen today about Presley, specifically Presley, what they're trying to do, and I think we can notice it in his delivery. He had a habit of arcing his back. There's a breaking ball for a called strike. In his delivery, extending backward too much, and of course when that happens your head moves, and mechanically they're trying to get him to stay a little more compact and erect rather than arching his back.
Yeah, I think that's a great catch on mechanics by Neil Allen, and you're right. What you're talking about right there, he would tend to bow his back toward the first base side.
Oh, what a catch by Escobar! A soft line drive, and he timed his leap perfectly.
When you're playing in the infield, the softer line drives like that are the hardest ones, because you see them right away, but then you have to really see the depth perception and get the timing right. And you're right, Dick. If you don't time that absolutely perfectly, you don't catch it.
2 down in the 7th. And a tip of the cap from the pitcher.
And back to his pitching mechanics at Presley's and bowing his back. It would be really hard to get to the release point and have a consistent delivery with your throwing your head back like that. And you can see it a little bit there. He did it a little bit there. He didn't bow his back so much, but you could see his head leaning back toward first base a little bit. And that's what they're trying to get him out of.
1-0 to Andres.
That's better.
And it's hit into the ground. Polanco with a strong throw to Adrianza, and a really good inning for Ryan Presley. It's still 3-1 Texas. T-Mobile unlimited baseball break. The Dodgers continue to roll. Another come from behind win over the Mets. Zach Davies with 7 innings of outstanding pitching, and then Anthony Swarzak got the save for the Brewers. Danny Salazar, guy I think is going to be the key to the Indians down the stretch because they need him to be A, healthy, and B, effective. And he came up with a good one, but the Yankees have the lead in the bottom of the 9th. We enter the bottom of the 7th. Eduardo Escobar takes strike 1. It's Escobar, Jimenez, and Rosario. And if you just joined us, neither Miguel Sano nor Joe Mauer are in the starting lineup. Sano because he got hit by a pitch last night. Sharply hit, picked up by Andres nicely, softly, and he fires across, 1 away. And Mauer getting a day off against a left-hander he's never had a hit against. Join Fox Sports North and the Minnesota Lynx for the Run, Walk, Roar 5K on Saturday, August 12th at Veterans Memorial Park in Richfield. Meet Lynx players, receive a free t-shirt and a lower-level ticket to a 2017 regular season home game. Visit foxsportsnorth.com/events for details. 65 pitches for Hamels. He's got 19 outs. Jimenez rolls one right to the second baseman. And on 3 pitches here in the 7th, he's gotten 2 outs.
The one thing that will happen for sure when a really effective good pitcher has got command of all of his stuff like Hamels, it's an efficient game, and it makes the hitters look silly. It makes the hitters look like they're not having good at bats, and that's not necessarily been the case here on the Twins side. There's just not a lot. There have been a few fastballs in the middle of the plate that guys could have hit but didn't. That happens. But other than that, Hamels has just been in control of his stuff, and when he's in control, there's a reason why he's 27-7 for the Texas Rangers. It's not because guys always have bad at bats against him. He's got really good stuff, and he knows how to pitch.
1-0 to Rosario. Ground ball to second and a strikeout for Rosario, and he beats it into the ground or rolls up toward Jeff Smith.
I've seen a lot of the games that where the Twins have beaten Hamels, and those games are totally different from Hamels' standpoint. He's 2-0 and 3-1 on a lot of guys. He doesn't have real good control of 1 or 2 of his pitches. Just not the case tonight. He's on tonight.
Fly ball center field, and Robinson retreats a couple of steps. And what was that, 6 pitches? A 1-2-3-7.
Twins and Rangers close out their series tomorrow. A Sunday showdown at Target Field. Our pregame show, Twins Live, get you ready for the series final starting at 12:30. Then Dick and Roy bring you the call. Twins' final game of the season against Texas Sunday afternoon.
Twins took 2 out of 3 in Texas. Hamels beat them in Texas, and he's in control of things there so far tonight. Cruising through 7 innings, and he's got a 2-run lead.
Well, he's probably done. He's thrown 69 pitches.
I think the Twins dugout would be thrilled to death if he were to come out of the game. Here's Nomar Mazara. And there's strike 1. Presley had a very clean 7th inning. He threw 8 pitches, 6 strikes, and he starts Mazara with strike 1. Strike 2.
2 really good breaking balls, and I'm watching his delivery since you brought that up, Dick, and it's very interesting. It's much better tonight in terms of him staying over his legs better with his upper body.
And on 3 pitches, he takes care of Mazara. And Neil told me today that, you know, they've worked on it in the bullpen, and it's been evident in bullpen sessions, but then the problem has been bringing it into a game, and it looks like so far tonight he's done a really good job of that.
Yeah, you can see him just stay over his legs. That's the main thing. His back doesn't get back. Right here is a good shot of it. See his shoulders right over his mid thigh. He stays over his legs, doesn't lean back a long ways, and it's got to be an awful lot easier for him to have a consistent arm arc through toward the target, I would think.
And asking Neil about his velocity, which is down a couple ticks from what we saw last year. He said, well, it's just a matter of confidence. You know, it's been such a disappointing year for Ryan, and you know, he doesn't enjoy going out there and giving up 3 runs in an inning, and it's happened to him a few times this year. But when he feels confident, they'll, you know, encourage him to let it fly. He's got some components that can't be taught in terms of pitching. I mean, he's off the charts with spin rate with his fastball and the breaking ball, and those things can't be taught.
Well, what can be taught is in evidence tonight. I mean, I think Neil's made a big positive change in his delivery mechanics. And
on the ground on 1 hop to the shortstop, Polanco. 2 down. Let's go to Audra Martin.
Earlier today, the Twins and Twins' wives hosted a women's baseball clinic here at Target Field, and Byron Buxton's wife, Lindsay, was quite the standout. Now, Byron was not surprised to hear this at all because Lindsay played softball in high school and was a really great pitcher. She actually throws batting practice to Byron in the offseason, and I asked Byron if she pitches to him underhand, and his response was, heck no, she is way too good, and that windup is too crazy. I'm not even going to go there because I know she'll school me. Said, but regardless, even overhand, she's quite an impressive athlete. You put the 2 of them together, I think it's safe to say little Brixton is going to be quite the athlete when he grows up, guys.
All right, thank you, Audra. 0-1 quickly to Rougned Odor. Odor with a single his last time up, got as far as third base. One and one.
As I watch Presley's delivery mechanics now more closely, you can also tell when he's leaning back too far in as he starts to his delivery motion. When he finishes, he'll fall more toward first base.
Well, he's shown a lot better command in this outing than he has in most of his outings this year. Again, he had a nice outing his last time out, a perfect outing, 5 up, 5 down, and that's what he's done again here tonight. Escobar scampers to the right side of the infield now that the count is 1-2. Up high at 96. Foul back. For Presley, the problem started in terms of command started at the very end of spring training. He had a rough spring training outing, and then it just kind of morphed into the regular season, and it's kind of like season has been like a blinker in your car. It's been on and it's been off and it's been on and it's been off. That's kind of the way his season has gone. What a snag by the shortstop on the right side of the infield. The third baseman Escobar makes a great play, and the Twins infield defense has been outstanding here tonight. You're watching Twins baseball presented by State Farm.
Field. Stay with us after the game for Twins Live, presented by CenturyLink. Anthony LaPanta and Tim Laudner on hand to break down Cole Hamels' night, how he's been successful at keeping the Twins so quiet. We'll also take a look at some impressive defense from the Twins, despite playing with a bit of an atypical lineup tonight. And as always, we'll hear from Paul Molitor. We'll see you after the game on Twins Live, guys.
All right, thank you, Audra. Byron Buxton taps the first pitch foul. Buxton, Adrianza, and Kepler. The Twins hope to send more than 3 men or 4 men to the plate. The most they've sent to the plate here against Hamels tonight is 4 batters, and that happening just twice. Buxton takes a ball, 1-1. During the inning break, I gave you the international sign for a bunt attempt, thinking that Buxton might drop one down here on Hamels, but and now the count is 2-1. It seemed to be an awful lot of bunting room up the first baseline. If he just bunted it right at Napoli, Buxton probably beat it out. Inside, 3-1. Might not need to put the ball in play at all.
I'm not convinced that Byron Buxton is a really good bunter, Dick. I feel like if he were a good bunter, if he felt like he could do it well, he'd do it an awful lot more often. I don't think it's for. He doesn't think it's a good idea.
3-2.
I think he should become a really good bunter.
Yeah.
I think that should be part of his everyday work ethic. I don't know that he's working so hard on his swing.
Poke to center, but it'll carry to Robinson. Low away. Partial season ticket packages are now available in the Delta Sky 360 Club and Catch. Become a Twins season ticket holder today. Become part of the Sweet Spot program. Learn more at twinsbaseball.com or by calling 800-33-TWINS. Adrianza will bat. 0 for 2. He drove in the run with a ground ball in the 5th. Up and away, ball 1. We were told that Miguel Sano may try to swing off a tee, and if that felt okay, he might take batting practice. I did not see him take batting practice. I don't know whether he even tried to swing a bat today. And whether he did or didn't wouldn't necessarily rule him in or out as a possible pinch hitter later in this game. If the Twins, for instance, if Adrianza reaches, I could imagine Sano perhaps pinch hitting. The problem is you've got 2 bench players, Mauer and Castro, so you've got to play in the field yet too, if not in the 8th inning, perhaps in the 9th. But Sano seemed discouraged that his hand felt worse today than it did yesterday. 2-1 to Adrianza. That's down the line, but foul. And on another discouraging note, there's no activity in the Texas bullpen. Two and 2 to the Twins' first baseman, A-Ray Adrianza. Another changeup and another swing and a miss. 2 down. That'll bring up Kepler.
He's had a great changeup. Just a really, really great changeup tonight. It's been the biggest equalizer against the Twins lineup tonight. Showing them enough fastballs to get guys on the fastball, and then they just had no chance against that change.
Kepler takes down and away ball 1. He's bounced to short and then hit a ball hard, but right to the left fielder, Joey Gallo. Check to swing. 2-0. Well, last night we saw Bartolo Colon pitch a complete game using primarily fastballs, and Hamels, as the chart showed you there, the pie chart, he throws a fastball less than half the time. 2-1. And now 2-2. Kepler had a good swing at a 93-mile-per-hour fastball. Checked his swing. Strike 3, says Ryan Blackney. I don't think he went. But it's a 1-2-3-8 for Cole Hamels.
Cancer impacts the lives of everyone in Twins territory. Join us August 30th to show your support for cancer awareness. Supporters purchasing tickets through this special theme night ticket package will receive a Twins cancer awareness hat. The color of the Twins logo on the front of the hat corresponds to the color associated with the most prevalent cancers seen throughout Twins territory. To learn more and join the Twins in their effort to strike out cancer, visit twinsbaseball.com/cancer awareness.
Now Taylor Rogers will hope to extend a string of nice relief outings here tonight. Buddy Boucher's got a couple big outs in the 6th. Ryan Presley with 6 up, 6 down in the 7th and 8th inning, and now Rogers gets the 9th.
Taylor Rogers also a little bit up and down. He had a really nice first half, and after the All-Star break has been a little bit spotty.
Mike Napoli takes ball 1. Yankees beat Cleveland 2-1. Red Sox beat the White Sox 4-1. 2-0. Baltimore leading Detroit 5-2 in the 9th. And the Royals rained out tonight. They'll have a doubleheader tomorrow with the Mariners, who had to put Felix Hernandez on the disabled list with biceps tendonitis.
Yeah.
That's going to hurt. He had been pitching pretty well since coming off the disabled list the first time, but now you want your big horses healthy for the final 2 months. 2-1 the count to Napoli, then Gallo and Robinson. There's the inside corner. After that high fastball and fouled it straight back.
High fastballs are like a guy trying to hit home runs. You have to be really sharp to hit the ball up there.
And the second one strikes him out. 1 down. And the bullpen so far has been outstanding. 9 up and 9 down from 3 different guys.
Well, he fouled the first one, the first high fastball back. Misses the next one. And like I said, you got to be sharp to hit it up there. That's a tough pitch to hit for most guys. We've seen Napoli, as Dick said earlier, we've seen Napoli hit the 9 million miles to left field, but he'd be about 1 out of 10 or 12 on those high fastballs, I think.
But those ones, oh man, do they go a long way. 1-0 to Gallo. A little delay here as Escobar moves to the right side of the infield. Gallo 1 for 3, looped a single to left in his 4th inning at bat. 2-0. Carlos Gomez on deck. Looks like he's going to hit for Drew Robinson.
I was kind of surprised he didn't do that with a couple of guys on back in the I think it was the 6th inning.
Three 3-0 now to Gallo. Rogers will try to come all the way back. There's strike 1.
In the 6th inning, 1 out and 2 guys on. Paul Molitor brought in Buddy Boucher to pitch to Joey Gallo, and then Drew Robinson's spot. Drew Robinson was left in there to hit against the left-hander, lefty against lefty.
And Gallo cracked his bat, and it's 3-2.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Minnesota Twins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Minnesota Twins, LLC.
It was 3-0. Now it's 3-2, and Gallo has a new stick. Breaking ball got him. Wow.
No chance.
Gallo gave up on that and was still halfway from home plate.
No chance. No, he was just looking just absolutely on the fastball, and Taylor dropped a beauty on him. You see him going away, coming back to get him, and then 3-2 just dropped a dandy on him.
10 up, 10 down for the Twins bullpen here, trying to keep this game within reach. Down 3-1. And Carlos Gomez will hit. And Gomez is hit by a pitch. And he'll take first base. Fastball hit him right in the back, it looked like.
In the back of something, yep.
Well, that'll bring up Chirinos, the catcher.
I love Gogo. Everything he does makes me laugh. And so now he's mad because his backside hurts when he got hit, and then he doesn't want Taylor Rogers to throw over there. He's waving at him like, "You hit me in the rear end. I'm not going to run anywhere."
Fouled back, another high fastball. Twins fans, if you can't catch the games on TV, you can stream them live on your mobile device with Fox Sports Go. Download the app, take Fox Sports North and Twins baseball with you wherever you go.
I'm still confused about why Jeff Bannister, the Texas Ranger manager, didn't pinch hit Carlos Gomez in the 6th with 2 guys on and 2 out against a left-handed pitcher. If he wasn't going to do it then, why is he doing it now? And my first thought was, well, he just wants to give Drew Robinson, at bats and watch him. So I guess that's the reason. I guess he feels like Gomez is a better defensive player. So here in the late innings for the Twins to hit, you put the defensive center fielder in. But why send him up there to hit if he wasn't going to hit in the 6th? I'm just a little confused.
And now 1-1. There he goes.
That's a good jump.
And there'll be no throw. Gomez with a steal of second. Well, he's got fire in his eyes.
He's just mad.
Well, we've seen Gomez play for years, both with the Twins and against the Twins. I didn't think he did anything untoward in his home run trot last night. Did you?
No, I don't think so.
I mean, so there's no.
I think that. I don't know. I really don't know. I can't imagine that Taylor Rogers was trying to hit him. There's no reason to do that.
He wants third base. Hack foul. Into the seats. One and two. Chirinos drove in a run with a fly ball. Hit into a double play. Tremendous double play started by Polanco in the 4th inning. And then Presley struck him out in the 7th. Twins are due to send up Polanco, Dozier, and Grossman. In the bottom of the inning, down a couple of runs, they hope. 2-2. Breaking ball past Escobar and down the line. Gomez will score, and Chirinos drives in an awfully big run. And the hit batter and the stolen base lead to an awfully big run for Texas.
Breaking ball that stays kind of in the middle of the play. Chirinos hits it right down the line, and a tough play for Escobar to knock it down. It's an in-between hop here, and just he couldn't get all the way over to get his body in front of it, so it's just a guess about where that ball is going to bounce when it's in between like that.
Rogers ran the ball in on the trademark of Chirinos' bat, but he ended up getting an RBI hit. Up and in now.
Strong enough to hit it relatively sharply, but just was lucky enough to hit it in the perfect spot. And you're right, that is a huge run, and that's the reason why I don't think there was anything intentional about hitting Gomez. I can't imagine why you would do it there.
1-1. Baltimore beat the Tigers 5-2. So everyone in the American League Central who has played has lost. Well, that's one thing the Twins have done a much better job. They've led the division. They've been in 2nd place. Now they're in 3rd place. But they've played better within the division. They have a winning record against American League Central teams, and last year they were just dreadful against teams within their own division. Big swing and a miss. And it's 1-1. Last year, the Twins were 24-52 against the other 4 teams in the Central, and this year they're 23-22. 1-2 to Shin-Soo Choo. That's fouled back. Twins have been out of the American League Central for good long while, and just 5 games against the Central in July and none yet in August. And a breaking ball, tap foul. Half swing, but he went. And that'll end the 9th inning. Rogers strikes out the side, but the hit batter comes around to score, and it's 4-1. For the most part, Cole Hamels has had the Twins eating out of his hand here tonight, and he's got now a 3-run lead. There have been only 23 complete games in the American League so far this year. We've got a chance to witness 3 of them in a span of 4 days. Wednesday in San Diego was Irvin Santana. Last night, Bartolo Colon. Carlos Gomez in center for the Rangers. And now Cole Hamels is 3 outs away from pitching another complete game. He'll face Polanco to start the 9th with 85 pitches thrown. Strike 1. Polanco 0 for 2, a strikeout and a tapper to short.
Well, real tough duty tonight against Cole Hamels. He's been really good. Throwing strikes with 4 different pitches. We saw in this pitch arsenal chart a little while ago how many pitches he throws.
That's to the right field corner. Mazzara won't get there, and the inning starts with the first extra base hit of the night. Polanco drops a double into the corner.
Nice hitting by Jorge Polanco on a breaking ball there. I started to say we saw how much Cole Hamels uses his whole arsenal. Throws all 4 pitches an awful lot of the time. He's done that tonight, all for strikes. Here's a breaking ball that's actually in a really good spot, and Polanco goes with it, serves it down the right field line for a double.
And this is where the extra run really comes into play. Yes. The Twins have a base runner, power hitter, and Dozier at the plate, but he is not now the tying run. Dozier with a single, a walk, and a strikeout against Hamels tonight. Up and away, ball 1. Up high, 2-0. That tells you that Miguel Sano is not available. It's the 9th inning. Twins running out of outs, and he does not have a bat in hand or batting gloves on his hands, so he is unavailable. So the bench players here are Mauer and Castro, 2 left-handed batters. 2-0 to Dozier, and a strike. Hamels has been hurt, looking for his first complete game of the season, and just his second as a Texas Ranger. Foul, and it's 2-2. As good as he is, and he broke in with the Phillies back in 2006, and he's always been in the the top shelf of starting pitchers. He's got 15 major league complete games. 2-2 to Dozier.
Beware the changeup here. Don't be jumping out too quick. He got the changeup.
Struck out Brian with a changeup in the 6th.
Yep, he'd seen 4 straight fastballs. He just felt pretty confident that he was going to try to strike him out there with a changeup, but Brian waited just long enough to spoil it. And it doesn't mean he won't come right back to it. So don't be thinking left field here. Take time to see the ball.
Bouncer to third. Beltre gobbles it up. 1 down, and now Grossman. Final game of the series tomorrow. Nick Martinez will go for the Rangers, and Jose Barrios going for the Minnesota Twins. Pre-game at 12:30. First pitch, weather permitting, a little after 1 o'clock. Don't expect any weather issues tomorrow, but we didn't expect them tonight. Grossman hitless in the ball game, and beyond that he hasn't reached base because Hamels has only walked 1 man. Usually when Robbie doesn't get a hit, he draws a walk. Weak pop-up right side. Another off-speed pitch. Within the changeup we've seen a range of velocity from like 81 to 85.
Yeah, that right there is uncharacteristic of Robbie Grossman. You see kind of the arsenal of pitches here. Hamels with a breaking ball there. Little slider, picks off Brian Dozier. Change up to Brian there. Change up to Adrianza. He's had it all working. And I started to say with Robbie Grossman, uncharacteristic pop fly right there. First pitch change up down. You know, that's what Hamels wants you to do. That's a 2-strike swing right there. That's not a first pitch of the at-bat with a guy on second base swing. Get a ball that you can handle. Robbie's usually about as good as there is, other than maybe Joe Mauer, of getting the ball he wants to drive, he wants to hit, not swinging at something that the pitcher wants you to hit. But he didn't do it that time.
Twins down to their last out. Escobar takes a strike. Escobar with a single. Tried to stretch it into a double in the 4th inning, but was thrown out. Bouncer to short. Andrus has the play over to Napoli. And the Rangers and Twins have alternated wins here in the first 3 games of this series.
Well, the Rangers caught the Twins limping just a little bit with the big man Miguel Sano unable to go. Day off for Joe Mauer. A little bit of a makeshift lineup, but even having said that, Cole Hamels had his really good stuff. His really good command going tonight, and he was just too much for the Twins lineup.
So, Anthony, the Twins will try to split this series and win the season series with the Rangers tomorrow.
And tonight the story was Cole Hamels. He goes the distance for the Rangers, his first complete game since October of 2015. We'll break down his night, show you how the Twins were solid with the leather, and hear from Paul Molitor next on Twins Live.